Hey everyone, Game Hunter here, and today we have a special treat for me, and hopefully for you guys, because it's an old game that I played before I even realized that it was a roguelike, and perhaps a lot of you even know what it is just looking at these screens, of course. It is Diablo, created by Blizzard Entertainment. Believe it or not, it's actually kind of hard to get this recording, so I'm going to go quickly into this before it crashes. The only times I've ever seen it crash is in the main area. As soon as we get to the screen here, I have not had any problems playing it. But I guess the first thing I should mention is that until quite recently, I think, that somebody decided to make a nice DirectX version, there's really no way to play this windowed. So you're usually quite out of luck unless you have that. And I'll be putting a link to the ability to make it windowed in the description. That'll be for Windows only, I think. But I believe Diablo is mostly Windows only. It also has Mac. But anyway, we're talking too much about other stuff. This is Diablo, and Diablo is perhaps the first example of kind of the modern roguelike. I mean, you had games like, for instance, Adam, Crawl. Oh man, there's another one that I can't think of at the moment, but certainly those two were a surprising change to the normal roguelike formula, and they were created back in the 90s and even early millennium. But Diablo came out before that, and even in its its essence, although it follows a roguelike formula, many people don't even really think of it very much as one, especially with the sequels of Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 moving it further and further, in my opinion, away from the genre. However, it still holds, I'd say it holds true awfully well, and it really provides a nice feel and a nice dungeon crawler perspective to with an isometric layout and all that. But yeah, Diablo did a lot of things to the genre, for better or for worse, and it's to each his own. And I would honestly just feel free to comment on it. I know there's some people who are gonna say Diablo is not a roguelike, why are you even playing this? And some people will be like, Diablo, man, I remember playing that back when I was 7. And I got scared the crap because Diablo was really fast and was very nasty. But anyway, that's whatever. Yeah, feel free to comment about that. And more specifically, this will just be an introduction video since I have played this game. And I would like you guys to let me know
what ails you, my friend?
If you want me to play a warrior, a rogue, or a sorcerer. They're all three, I would say, drastically different play styles. Ultimately you're still pushing the attack button and or casting spell button for sorcerers to kill your enemies, but the way you have to handle situations is very different. Warrior is usually a lot easier early on, sorcerer gets better later on, and rogue is kind of the middling. One of the funny things about this game is it kind of gets broken by a single spell, but anyway. Let's go ahead and talk to the Tavern Keeper, because one of the cool things in this roguelike is it was fully developed by a publisher, a game publisher. Or in that case, just a game developer. I don't think they were being carried by Activision whatsoever at the time. But anyway, it's got voice acting, it's got crazy graphics and music and all that. And back in the early 90s, that wasn't something that a roguelike would accomplish very easily, and I don't think had before that, so it was somewhat unprecedented. And just to give an example of the game, pulling off a very polished, professional look, let's go ahead and listen to Ogden the Tavern Owner explain kind of the prologue of this game. So,
thank goodness you returned. Much has changed since you lived here, my friend. All was peaceful until the Dark Riders came and destroyed our village. Many were cut down where they stood, and those who took up arms were slain or dragged away to become slaves, or worse. The church at the edge of town has been desecrated and is being used for dark rituals. The screams that echo in the night are inhuman, but some of our townsfolk may yet survive. Follow the path that lies between my tavern and the blacksmith shop to find the church and save who you can. Perhaps I can tell you more if we speak again. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. The only concern I ever had for the text is the fact that when you read it, when it goes between paragraph breaks, there's absolutely no audio break between different stanzas or whatever you want to call them. But so sometimes the words don't really match up to the pace at which they're being spoken. But anyway, let's go ahead and just look at our townsfolk. Like I said, this is going to be an introduction thing just so that we get our bearings straight in the game. We got Pepin. Pepin's a pretty cool guy. Right, I think you can actually talk to, I think? No, and maybe not.
But I have no proof of that one way or the other.
Yeah, I don't think he actually... But Pepin's the healer. Pepin will heal you for free whenever you go to town. You just go to him and he'll restore your red bar here. This is your health meter. This is your magic mana meter, whatever. And you can also buy healing potions and rejuvenation potions, as well as scrolls. I think if you're a sorcerer, you're better off using scrolls, but if you're a sorcerer, you're probably better off using healing and eventually mana shield to cover all of your survival needs. Cain, also known as Deckard Cain in the... Well, you might know him as that in this game by other people.
I know of many myths and legends.
Exactly, he's the guy. He sounds like, you know, a real Sean Connery. But in any case, he tells you a lot of lore-based knowledges, if you want to call it that. And he kind of adds the most to the real story and the truth behind the game, so to speak, which eventually expands into the later games, which are very, very story-driven. Functionally, he identifies items for you for 100 gold apiece. And that's extraordinarily important to make sure that you get items identified, because if they're not identified, you can't get their bonuses or penalties. In this game, there were penalties, and they kind of swiftly got rid of a lot of those later on, but yeah, that can happen. And some of the unique items are kind of, you know, good and bad because of that. Griswold's the blacksmith, and he's the guy that basically repairs items for you if you need that. And that's another thing. You do have to repair stuff in this game. As a matter of fact, if it goes to 0 durability, it's gone forever. So you have to be very careful about your items, your good items, and making sure they don't get completely destroyed. Because if you spend a couple $100,000 on something really good, you want to make sure that you get back in time to repair it. The basic items are usually crap and, you know, not worth getting, except maybe right now. The premium items can be pretty good, and it's good to take a look at them just in case you find something that might be useful. Yeah, so you can repair and you can also sell. So we have Ogden, yes, right. Yeah, and he still talks about that stuff. He has gossip normally. Oh yeah, this is Gillian, the barmaid. Okay, so this is Ogden's barmaid or whatever, but, you know, she's just another story person, so... Right. Sometimes she'll have quests for you, or just to talk to her regarding things that you found. So, yes, I'm talking over them, I know, whatever. My point was that I wanted to talk about just the voice acting in that one spot. So that's most of the players. We have one person over here that perhaps not everybody finds immediately, but I'm sure most people find them eventually, especially once you get into the second half of the game and you get a shortcut around here somewhere that leads later into the dungeon. You got Wirt. Where is he? There's Wirt, the peg-legged boy.
Over
Yeah.
here.
So he has really good items to sell, and you can just talk to him if you want. So yeah.
What there is of it.
Yeah, blah blah blah. Nobody cares about you, dude. You're a punk. But more importantly, he's got really, really expensive but very good items for sale. And if you have a lot of gold that's just kind of literally weighing you down, it's a good idea to always check out what he has to offer and maybe get a really good item out of it. It costs 50 gold just to take a look, but you'll find that that's a trivial amount eventually. Especially compared to what he has for sale, that's for sure. Finally, within the main town hub, we got Farnham the Drunk, like Gillian and like Ogden. He's just kind of a story person, so you don't really have to worry about him most of the time. Although every couple of floors, when you come back, it's good to just walk around and see if they have any quests for you. And they always, I believe everyone always has something to say about the quests you have currently. So if you want to get a little flavor text, that's something you can do for sure. One of the things in the original Diablo, which is a bit of a pain and a pace breaker, is the fact that you can only walk. If you haven't noticed and you're wondering, GH, why are you moving so slowly? Well, it's because I have to. So. And then this is Adria the Witch.
Who only knows iron.
Yes.
There is no greater magic than steel.
Exactly, just like me. So she's talking about Griswold. But anyway, you can buy mana potions here. You can buy scrolls here. You can buy books here, which are especially good for the Sorcerer. Book of Mana Shield. Oh man, if only I could afford it. You can also recharge your staves, which act as your wands in this game, but are also something you have to hold in order to use properly. So, and of course, you can also sell stuff. But anyway, so that's everybody in town. That's already taken quite a bit of time just to go through and explain. We should perhaps get a little bit to the combat, because I've been at this for a good 11 minutes now, and it's not grabbing anywhere, right? So, this game is very equipment-driven, which is, in my opinion, something that the older roguelikes did a lot. Eventually they moved into things like spell casting and whatnot, which this game also has, but you know, your equipment largely says who you are in this game, and that's why it's important to go ahead and find stuff to that extent. So we have a wounded townsman here, which means that we have a particular quest we have to deal with.
Listen to me.
So
The Archbishop Lazarus. He led us down here to find the lost prince. Bastard led us into a trap. Now everyone is dead, killed by a demon he called the Butcher. Avenge us! Find this Butcher and slay him, so that our souls may finally rest.
indeed, and then he just goes ahead and dies.
Your death will be avenged.
And each of the characters, I think, always say the same thing, but the voice acting is actually different, which is kind of funny, but whatever. That's how it goes. This is
the sanctity of this place has been fouled.
Right, sorry about that. I forgot that they say stuff when they go to the new area, I think. But this is the combat, and this is probably the major reason why the game doesn't have running, is because it would kind of throw off a bit of the pace of combat itself. In fact, one of the things that I find kind of cool about the game is that you have to walk, and it makes the idea of trying to escape and stuff very uncomfortable sometimes, but it adds, because this game is pretty creepy and can kind of give you genuine, well, genuine maybe not, but certainly a very simulated fear with regards to how you have to fight the enemies and make sure you're not getting killed and everything. But if you notice, this is a real-time roguelike, and I would guess that the major reason people didn't consider it roguelike back in the day, even though it's roguelike inspired, and I would even say at this point that we can just go ahead and call it a roguelike, not even a roguelike-like necessarily, is because it's in real time, which was something completely unheard of back then. So, well, at least as far as I know, I can't really think of any roguelikes that used real time. But I really think that a real-time roguelike has its place in the world, with games like Splunky and Delver and this, and you know, other games that I've been playing recently, of course. So, and I think it's important to say that yes, you can have a game that's got roguelike, tons of roguelike elements, got the core down, the fact that these dungeons are random and you never know what you're going to expect. And the fact that you have to, you know, collect your items, and that when you die, you're pretty much screwed. In this game, you can save and load, and you know, so if you die, you can just go ahead and reload back to where you saved it last. But so, you know, that's not perfect. But of course, you can just play it hardcore if you want, and say when you die, you just delete your character. So, and as a matter of fact, I believe on BattleNet, which this game eventually supported, you can create a hardcore character, meaning that if you die, you just die, and that's how that goes. Although I don't know if that was started in Diablo 2 or this game. I'll have to take a look to be sure. But in any case, we have a map to make it a lot easier to explore. And there we just leveled up. Leveling up gives you all your health and mana back in this game, which is quite nice. It's actually something you can, at least early on, it's something that you can depend on as a sorcerer, making sure that you use up all of your mana before you level up, because you don't want to waste potions, which are hard to come by early on until you start really getting gold. But leveling up in this game gives you a couple things. One, it gives you a little bit of life and mana, and two, it allows you to level up your stats. Each character has a certain starting amount of stats as well as starting life and mana, and they also have a certain maximum they can reach with their stats. For example, the warriors, that's the name of this class, right? They can get all the way up to 255 strength, but their magic only is allowed to go up to, say, 50 or so. Rogues can get maximum dexterity, and mages, sorcerers, can get maximum intelligence of magic. I guess they just call it a magic stat in this game. So this is one thing. You can actually hold shift and just kind of attack things as they approach, so you don't have to worry about accidentally walking in. But in the meantime, we gotta wait for all these guys to come through. Fallen Ones, the AI in this game is pretty cool, because there's a number of different ways that the AI will play around. For instance, whenever an enemy dies, any fallen ones around will scatter. In a situation like this, it's kind of annoying because you have to... Oh yeah, right. We should look at inventory in just a sec. But anyway, in hallways like this, it's kind of annoying because you do kind of want to just have them show up one by one. But we'll get to that eventually. And we'll see AI where that's a lot more convenient. I guess with the fallen ones, you really can just go ahead and waltz right through. And there are some other things in this game that you don't quite see all the time. Like, for instance, see-through walls. You can really see the see-through walls and the fact that you're allowed to see through them and everything. And that's another short bow. In fact, let's try to show off the short bow's attack. But first, let's take a look at inventory. Inventory is done as a, I don't know, a jigsaw puzzle sort of game where you have 40 slots as well as all of your normal slots, and you have to fit things in order. And when you run out of room, you run out of room and you got to go back. So there's no weight in this game, but there's kind of a volume, and that's the mechanic that they use here. In a sense that kind of existed beforehand. Especially, I believe, in games like Omega, where you had, well, at least you had a definite weight system. And I think, man, I really wish I could say a lot. Unfortunately, when you start to play a lot of roguelikes, a lot of them start to meld together. And you can't really remember, unfortunately, which sucks. Another cool thing in this game are shrines. Shrines do a number of things depending on what they say. Let's see, Abandoned Shrine, for instance. Abandoned Shrine gave me the hands of men may be guided by fate. Just gave me 2 dexterity, just like that. I don't see any changes in other stats, so it was just a nice boost. I might have gotten lucky for all I know. I'll probably have a shrine checker just to make sure that I know I'm getting the good ones and using them at the right times. Because this isn't blind, so I might as well just take advantage of what's available online with regards to, what the shrines mean and everything. Because I used to do that all the time, so it's really not that big a deal. Anyway, I forgot that I was going to show off the bow, so let's try to show that off. And do I have room for this? I don't really care about you, right? You dagger. The bow is your ranged attack, even though that's melee. So you can just shoot and try to hit a dude. And often you'll miss if they're running around. Ideally, you want to kind of get them in a proper line of sight. But it does look like I killed him. I don't know... Oh, there you are. So anyway. Now we can shoot at you. And maybe hit you. Ugh. Gotta make sure if you're not moving. I'm not sure how easily you can hit moving targets in this game. But in any case, using a bow is often a lot better. Because once you start lining up the shots, it's really not that bad. Ooh, I took some damage from that barrel. Barrels, sometimes they give you potions and gold, sometimes they just explode in your face, and sometimes that's actually good for the other guy. So, which is to say you, because they explode in the monster's face. Oh. So we have inventory, yes. We have quests.
Please,
Yeah, and he
listen
tells
to
us
me.
about it, so blah, blah, blah. That's what the guy said. We also have spells. Press B to open it up. Currently, the warrior has a skill. And the skill he has is item repair, which basically allows me to take an item. Let's just use it, in fact. Come on, show that item repair. And then we just go ahead and right-click on it. Like, this is 9 out of 24. It'll split the difference. And, well, roughly split the difference. And then, so it gave me durability 18. So it dropped the max, but it ended up repairing it all the way. If you go back to town, you'll get a full repair. This is more of an emergency repair for early game, in my opinion, and just that. So spell recharge, staff recharging, which is what the sorcerer has, on the other hand, can be a whole lot more useful, because if you find a staff that's just got a bunch of charges on it, and you're not going to use that staff all the time, you can just wring all of its charges out if you want. That's always kind of cool to do. Oh crap. Okay, good, I leveled. Good goody ting. Good goody ting. So, ooh, a full mana. You know they're full mana because they're not kind of blurry and they're just nice and largely blue. So this game has monster memory, which is pretty nice. It means that I think after you kill 15, you get to know their immunities and resistances, and after you kill 30 of them, you get to know their rough HP. And then even after more, you get to know their damage or something. I forget exactly how it works, but it's something along those lines. So. Righty-o. I think I've cleared most of this place, and this is only an introduction video. After this, I'll be starting a new character and moving on, you know, with the character that you guys pick for me, because I know this game and I don't really have to explore it on my own terms. We can just go ahead and get right into the gritty middy of it. I know I was doing Rogue before, but Rogue's kind of proving to be a bluster of a time to get up and going, so I'll get back to it eventually. Oh, another abandoned shrine, so let's see if it's consistent. It's a dexterity again, so that's how that works. Just get 2 dexterity. Why not, honestly? That's just a good boost, because that gives you extra 2 hidden armor class. And also, strength gives you more damage, magic gives you more mana, and vitality gives you more life. But in addition to that, strength, dexterity, and magic are required in order to wield certain items. Usually bows and whatnot require dexterity. Melee weapons and armor require strength, and staves and scrolls and learning spells requires magic. So. And it doesn't matter where it comes from, you know, whether or not it's your equipment or internally. Intrinsic or extrinsic, I guess, is one way to put it. You know, as long as you have it at the time, you're allowed to then equip. So. That's how the story goes. But we should probably wrap up now. This has been Game Hunter playing Diablo. Join me next time when we really start playing the game and we figure out what class we're going to be. So, and hopefully I can go through it rather quickly. At the very least 1 floor per level. As I need to go back up to town and whatnot, we'll skip through that as necessary, and I'll show what I did at the end of things. But you know, we don't really need to bog the game down by doing all that stuff. So, in any case, until next time, keep playing those roguelikes, everyone, and take care.